All right, guys. So it looks like video game players are older than what the companies want to believe. The average age of gamers has risen to 37 in the U.S., according to this study. And I believe it because a lot of the hardcore gamers are older. If you think it's a young person's thing, you haven't been on Twitch. There are a lot of older players over there. They're streaming, Call of Duty and stuff like that. But these video game companies have been chasing Gen Z and Gen Alpha, and those players are playing like the Roblox and the
That's
Fortnite.
What I was gonna say. They're playing the online. They're playing the online games. I mean, that's still gaming, but they're playing more of that kind of stuff. Or they want the retro consoles to play the old stuff. That's the kind of stuff that they usually play.
Yeah, so I think it's really funny when you get these journalists that are younger than 37 in a lot of cases out there attacking the boomers. Like, the boomers, it's not for you. You're old. You're too old for video games. And the average age is 37, which means we have people in their 50s and 60s as well as people in their teens and 20s playing video games. And
if I had more time, I'd be playing all the Kingdom Hearts games again. I just don't have time.
Yeah, 4 looks like photorealistic. It's kind of weird. It kind of threw me off a little bit. But
Squicking said it looks like Persona. I don't hate
it.
I think it's cool. At least it's going to be an R world, it seems like. So that's kind of cool.
But yeah, this is interesting because this is going along with something I reported on the other day. The average age of Final Fantasy players, I think, is like 30 plus. They said that 77% of the people who bought the Final Fantasy VII Remake, 77% were over 30. They were trying to appeal to a younger demographic. It did not work. And actually, the way the series has been going is they've been dumbing it down more or less and trying to turn it into an action game. And they just announced yesterday they're going to go back to its roots. They're going to have 2D sprite-based Final Fantasy, which I think looks pretty awesome. But
they said 2D sprite-based, they had you.
And yeah, I'm like, I'm there, man. I'm there.
Kneon is like huge Final Fantasy. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a hardcore fandom, but we're seeing this time and time again that these studios, these companies have vastly misjudged the age of their audience. And it comes at a great cost to them because the older audiences have disposable income. Mm-hmm. So you actually want an older audience because they have jobs. Okay.
Now, see, the toy companies figured that out.
Yes.
Which we're going to talk about here later too.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. All of these things are related. But so if you're playing games at 47 years old, don't feel bad. You're actually right in the sweet spot there. We're going to have gamers. We already have grandmas streaming video games.
I love every minute. I think that's great. I think that's the best thing ever. So wholesome.
But we're going to have games in a couple of years probably where the main character is like a senior citizen because the people playing the games are going to be in their 60s, 70s, right? If you grew up with Nintendo. Get
off my lawn, the game.
Get off my lawn, the game.
It's like Grand Theft Auto, but with an old guy and a cane.
So let's talk about this, old ass gamers. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, you'll get woohoo if you do. Woohoo. If you'd like more Clownfish TV, go out to more.clownfishtv.com. That's more.clownfishtv.com for more Clownfish TV episodes you will not find here on YouTube. Go out to iTunes, go out to Spotify, iHeartRadio, listen to the audio version. And if you'd like to see us play some games occasionally, go out to the Clownfish Gaming channel. I felt like I was too old to play games, but apparently I'm not.
No.
That's what they kept telling us for years. Like as soon as you hit 25, it's like, you're too old to play video games. It's not for you. It's for the Gen Alphas, you boomer. Well, no. The people buying the games are 37 on average. So and they don't want a lot of the shit that the studios are pushing. Mm-mm. So
like I said, a lot of the younger people are playing like the online stuff. And,
yeah.
You know, it is what it is. And then the ones that they sell, when they want to sell the games like on Steam and those things, it's all the people who buy them. It just is what it is.
Yeah, so that's the thing. These studios need to get through their heads. If you're not appealing to them, they're not going to buy it. The people, the audience you're chasing, the same thing we saw, the same thing happened in comics, and the same thing happened with, other geek fandoms. They chase the younger audience, but the younger audience doesn't buy things very often. They play, free to play stuff. They're in it for the memes. They're in it for the whatever. They're not dropping $60, $70, $80 on a game.
Unless you're our son.
Unless you're our son. Yeah, our son actually does collect stuff, and but a lot of kids his age don't.
But there are a lot that do. But I'm just saying in general, this is what they found the average age to be, which means there has to be some younger people and some older people to come to that middle age. But that's creeping up, which indicates there's more older people playing than younger people playing.
So this is coming from Metro, weirdly enough. They said the average age of gamers has risen to 37 in the U.S., a report has revealed the average age of gamers is on the rise, with half of all players in the U.S. being age 35 or older. Well, that makes sense because Nintendo came out in 1985, 86. So, yeah, and if you grew up playing Nintendo, grew up playing Sega, you're going to be of a certain age. Mm-hmm. While video games are often perceived as a pastime for young kids and teenagers because they actually have the time to play them, reports have shown the medium's average audience skews much older. This has been proven yet again by the ESA's 2026 Essential Facts About the U.S. Video Game Industry report, which surveyed 13,000 U.S. respondents between February 11th and 25th of this year. Of those questioned, 9,000 played at least 1 hour of video games each week. That makes you a gamer playing an hour a week. I guess if you're an adult, that's all you get. Well, 3,600 either did not play at all or played less than 1 hour per week. According to the report, the average age of U.S. gamers is 37, which is up slightly from 36. Well, that was last year. So the same people aged a year. I mean,
that's true.
Is this like an
time works?
Is this like an SAT question?
So next year it'd be 38.
Oh my God, guys, everybody's getting old. Now the average age is 38. Additionally, it found half of all players are aged 35 or older. The biggest gaming demographics were 18 to 34 and 50 plus.
That's tied at 29%.
That is really interesting. Okay, so let me back this up because I love this because we've got all these younger video game journalists and Twitter accounts and Blue Sky accounts. Shut up, boomer. Shut up, boomer. You're too old to play video games. It's our time now. The biggest gaming demographics were 18 to 34, okay, and 50 plus.
Which were tied.
50 plus, which are at 29%. So I have a theory. I'm thinking the 34 to 50 is probably your major child rearing years and career years. So 50 plus people are more settled. They might have more time. They definitely have more disposable income, usually at that age, hopefully. And, or they're retired, semi-retired, whatever, they can kick back. 18 to 34, you haven't really, settled down with a family yet. But, 35 to 50 is usually when you're raising your family. So you're probably very busy, right? Or building your career or something. The gender breakdown is closer than what you'd expect, with 53% of active players being male, 46% being female.
That's not closer than I expect. I expect female to be a little higher than that, actually. But yeah.
Well, they said, okay, so there is a difference here because I think this is something we have to think about too. Although that includes every possible definition of a video game, such as browser and mobile titles. So on average, not across the board, but women do tend to play different kinds of games than guys.
Unless you're my sister.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not trying to, because you play like all kinds of stuff. But I'm just saying, like, you're more likely to find a dude playing Call of Duty.
Yes.
And a woman playing like Stardew Valley or something.
Unless
you know what I'm saying?
My sister, yes.
And, yeah, right. Yeah, your sister plays all kinds of stuff. All right, so there are other interesting statistics too. The report finds that 212 million people between 5 and 90 play video games in the U.S., which is the majority of the country's estimated 341 million population. But again, that could just be a browser game. Grandma could be on Facebook playing. What was that thing they used to have, the Farmville? Was that what it was?
Oh, yeah, Farmville.
Is that still a thing?
Years. I have no idea. I never played it.
Oh, God. I used to get random people I barely knew on Facebook asking me to, like, farm coins or something for them. And I'm like, I don't even play this stupid thing. I don't even play this. 83% of U.S. households have played at least one video game device within the past 12 months. Mobile's most popular platform, with PC at 52 and consoles at 44. The lowest is virtual reality at 10%. Remember, everybody's like, virtual reality is going to replace all gaming everywhere.
Yeah, apparently not.
Everybody's going to wear the stupid goggles and yeah.
Well, I think mobile's most popular because everybody, including grandma, has a cell phone.
Right.
It's just easier access for a lot of older people, especially.
So I got to wonder, because we keep seeing all these damn commercials for the gambling apps. Mm-hmm. And I gotta wonder, like, how much of that they're saying, oh, that's playing video games, the gambling
Well,
apps.
some of them are like a video game, so it depends.
In terms of genres, puzzle games are the most popular among Americans with
I love
50.
puzzle games.
Yeah, there you go. Candy Crush. You like
I don't play Candy Crush.
Zuma.
Yes.
Zuma. You like Zuma.
I like
and
Zuma
Puzzle Bobble.
and Tsum Tsums. I like Tsum Tsums. I haven't played any of this for a while, but I like
she used to play Tsum Tsums every night. She'd play
did.
their Tsum Tsums. Regularly playing across demographics. Arcade, another 46%. Action games, 43%. Additionally, the aging audience is reflected in the statistics around parents. According to the report, 75% of parents play video games, with 81% of those who do play games doing so with their children.
Yeah, I used to play games when Squid King was little. I used to play games. He'd try to play, but he was little, so he would have me play like Mario Galaxy and different things like that, and then he would try. And you used to play the Lego games with him when he was little. And then our daughter would play like Punch Out. She was like 3, and she was kicking everybody's ass in Punch Out.
Yeah.
But we used to play with our kids all the time and games. And then when my son got older, like whenever watching stuff came out, I used to sit and watch him play. He loved it if I'd sit and watch him play the game. So I'd watch him to play different games he'd play.
And he was freakishly good at a relatively young age.
Yeah, he used his dad's account, and his dad got an email, and they were trying to recruit. What game was it for?
Oh, it was Rainbow Six Siege.
Rainbow Six
yeah, they were
Siege.
trying to recruit him for a team. Yeah, he was that
They were trying to recruit him to audition for teams he couldn't obviously because he wasn't 18. But he'll say I wasn't very good.
He was like 12 at the time or whatever.
He's
but
lying. He was
yeah,
good.
he did really good. I'm not good at first person shooters, I will admit, but fighting games and arcade games and stuff like that, I'm into. Everybody's got their own. It's kind of like movies now, right? You've got your own genre that you kind of tend to like.
I was crazy good at Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah. Yes. She actually got like 3/4 of the way through Kingdom Hearts 2 without equipping anything.
I didn't know.
Well, she never played a JRPG before.
I didn't.
So she watched me play through the first one, and she never played a JRPG. So I'm like, you've got abilities you need to equip. She's like, I can't beat this guy. I'm like, you don't have anything equipped.
Right to like the last couple hit bars, and then I died. This was like one of the guys towards the end of the game.
Yeah, it was one of the organization.
Sheer skill, bitches.
13 guys. I don't remember who it was. Was it Axel? I don't remember who it was.
On the guitar. Sheer skill.
Yeah, and I was like, what are you doing? Just like mashing buttons? And she's like, no, you were actually, she was good though. She beat the whole game herself, and she never played a JRPG before. And yeah.
It was much easier after it was equipped.
Yeah, it was a little easier once you had your abilities equipped.
I didn't know. Anyway.
But no, they said that parents surveyed would prefer that their child play video games rather than scrolling on social media. I would agree with that. I'd rather they play offline games, or something, or
some
games
people on there are just batshit.
Yeah. So this is a very interesting situation because again, this was Square Enix was worried that their audience was aging out of Final Fantasy. They're like, oh my God, guys, the 40-year-old JRPG series has an older audience. Imagine that. But I want to remind people that when the Final Fantasy Magic cards dropped, they sold $200 million worth of those cards in a day. And they were not all Magic fans. It was mostly Final Fantasy fans.
They don't cost much to make.
No, they don't. Final Fantasy fans, JRPG fans, older gamers are dedicated, but you have to give them what they want. And it's the same with any of these franchises. Like at some point in time, I understand the desire to want to, replenish, I guess,
bring more people into it.
Fandom, but Gen Z, Gen Alpha, in a lot of cases, they're not going to glom on to the same things that we did because it doesn't mean anything to them. They didn't grow up with it.
Interestingly, like a lot of people are playing with their kids, are playing Minecraft, Fortnite, that kind of stuff. That the kid that you go where you meet them where they're at, but you have this demographic playing games with their kids, so there is an opportunity to bring young people into it. You just have to make things that they're gonna want, and just like just sticking to the stuff that older people want. You're gonna to understand that's your demographic, and you can bring some younger people in. But if you want young people, you're gonna have to make a completely different thing.
Yeah, and that's the problem that we're seeing with
make a Minecraft-esque Final Fantasy game, and you will have a shit ton of kids.
Well, I'm going to be there on day one for the new 2D Final Fantasy. Like,
Oh yeah,
I'm
well
there
I
now.
knew as soon as you said those words, I was like, oh yeah, that's your game.
I'm like, wait, you're
No
making
question, no question.
because I've been saying for years, like all you got to do is go back to basics with Final Fantasy. I'm like, it used to be they would put a decent Final Fantasy game out every year, every other year. And then as the graphics got more and more ridiculous, it was like, okay, now we'll put a Final Fantasy game out like every 10 years and then we'll just keep remaking the old ones. But the reason they did the rebirth, it wasn't even to appeal necessarily to the Final Fantasy VII players. It was to try to bring in new people, be like, hey, we're going to take, our most popular game and bring it back and, get those Gen Z kids. And Square was chasing with these Western style games that flopped. It's like, look, you've got an audience that's obviously willing to pay. You just have to give them what they want. The same is true of Star Wars. The same is true of Marvel. The same is true of toys.
The problem, we're going to talk about toys in a minute, but the problem is, like, Masters of the Universe does that, but no one's going to see it. And I think it's a case of, well, one, I think it's kind of a niche thing. But two, I think it's a case of people are so used to the movies being dog shit, especially if it's an established franchise, and that they're just like trying to get this new audience, that they alienate the old audience. They don't even care anymore, and they don't show up. And I can't say I blame them, because then if they do show up or they have any complaints about it, they're automatically grifter, istophobe, whatever. So they just don't go. And I think that's part of that. That's Hollywood's problem they created themselves. But it was funny because I saw a guy talking about Masters of the Universe, and it failed because it didn't resonate with kids, and kids are the toy buying audience. And I was like, au contraire, that is not true anymore. The audience, the number one audience for toys, adults. They call them kidults.
Kidults, and this is why they're pivoting a lot of the toy lines now. You look at Transformers, G.I. Joe, and in the case of He-Man, the Masterverse figures in particular, they are geared toward adult collectors. The price point, like a kid's not going to plunk down $30 for a 6-inch action figure. I wince looking at like $30 for a figure.
Oh, I spend like $70 on Monster High dolls. I mean,
but that's the demographic now. Like kids aren't buying them. I've watched kids.
Well, I buy them for our daughter, but yeah.
Yeah, but it sounds creepy. Like I've watched kids at the store. No, but I mean, seriously, I used to work at a toy store. I pay attention to like when the parents are there with their kids and what the kids are looking at, and they're not looking at any of our old man shit. They keep wanting kids to be into Star Wars and Marvel. Well, they were Marvel for a while, but they want kids to be into this stuff that we were into, and it doesn't mean anything to them.
The only shelf I see cleared is Pokemon, and that's usually not even the kids.
That's usually 30-somethings too. Yeah, 20-somethings, 30-somethings.
Our son's, older, and he buys cards because he likes them. But I'm just saying, it's like you don't see the toys move like Monster High. They brought Monster Highs back, and I very rarely ever see any of them get off the shelves unless they're on clearance. I see the people coming with kids and going for other things. Barbie's always popular and other stuff, but toys in general just aren't like they used to be. No. And the main audience for toys, it's $1 billion some industry, is making them for adults. And that's why you see all these specialty toy companies coming up, like Little Subjects is coming up, and they're making masks and stuff like that. That's why, because that's where the money is. That's the target audience, because those are people that have money and they collect. I collect toys. I collect old toys, 80s toys, but that's the audience.
Yeah, and I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, for a while I was kind of like, is it weird that we have all the toys?
No, it's not weird.
How is it any different than an adult?
Totally normal.
Like, yeah, like 50 years ago that like, oh, I build model kits, or I do ships in a bottle, or I collect, whatever, tiki masks, or what, it's a collection. It's something that means something to you. It's no different than collecting like books, like real books, or, comic books or real books, whatever. It's all the same thing. But the point being is that you're not alone, and we're not crazy. They've been gaslighting us to think that the boomers don't have any sway whatsoever over pop culture, that we need to get out of the way, that they all want Gen Z, Gen Alpha. Gen Z and Gen Alpha are not buying this stuff. They're broke ass in a lot of cases, or don't care. So yeah, it is older millennials and Gen X that are actually driving the nerd economy at this point. So these companies need to freaking listen when we say, hey, we don't like this thing, we're not going to buy this thing. If you change this thing we like, we're not going to buy it. Cool. If you try to turn it into new Coke, we're not going to drink it. You got to listen.
And the thing is, like with younger people, like our kids, they're just on their phones. They're just on, meme. They just speak in memes. They just they talk to each other literally in memes and references, and they don't care about the pop culture movies. Like we talk to each other about pop culture stuff, and that's not what they do. And then they're the games, Fortnite, Roblox, those kind of things. That's what they do.
Yeah.
It is what it is. They're not interested in the Final Fantasies. They're not interested in buying, the toys. They're interested in being on. They want phones and they want devices, and they're interested on being on those things. And that's what they do. It is what it is. I mean.
So if you're going to sell stuff, you're going to sell high-end games. They're bringing this up too. They said about the game consoles, the next generation. They think that
they're so expensive.
It's going to be $1,000 for probably a PS6. They're like, do you think a Gen Alpha kid's going to buy one of those?
No, and their parents are going to balk at that too, because the economy being bad like it is, and you can't even afford, groceries and shit. You're not going to have $1,000 to spare to buy a PS6 because that's what your kid wants. I think that they're making them too. They're outpricing families. They're outpricing the market in general, except for a handful of people. And I get kind of like Disney. We'll sell less to people who pay more. But that's not going to work. And what's going to happen is, and what's already happening is, people, they're playing the digital only, like they can get on their phone or on their computer, or they're going and buying old stuff, retro stuff. Because I pay $1,000 when you can go get like a couple $100 with an old system with a couple games, and you can play that, and then they're more fun anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's just it really turns things kind of on its ear, because this is the exact opposite from what the media has been telling us, and I think that was by design.
Media's full of shit. So there's
I think it was by design. I think the reason that they were lying about this shit is they wanted things to be a certain way. They wanted to be able to control it, like, oh, well, you're going to make stuff for us. You're going to make tabletop games for us, and you're going to make video games for us. And you're going to pander to us.
If you want to go out of business.
And they went out of business. Just Paizo, yesterday I did a video talking about Paizo, the publishers of Pathfinder tabletop game, Dungeons & Dragons competitor. They went so woke it hurts. I'm going to be honest. Like they were getting very, very political in the last couple of years, and people checked out. And I don't think that's the whole reason why they lost as much money as they did, but I think it factored into it. But they lost a ton of money, and and we're seeing this now with Wizards of the Coast too. They were, chasing a certain audience, and that audience doesn't buy shit. They just don't buy stuff. Comics too. I'm sorry, everybody's trying to be like, well, all these young people are reading comics. I'm like, are they reading comics legally? Are they buying them? Or you're telling me
a lot of people are pirating the hell.
They're pirating them. They're torrenting them. You're telling me that all these Gen Alpha kids, all these broke ass Gen Z kids are dropping $5 a pop on comics. Now they're spending $50 to $100 a week on comics when they can't even pay their rent. No, I don't believe it. Pokemon cards, yeah, $5 a pack, and they can flip them and make money. Yeah, I believe that. I don't believe a whole lot of, I'm not saying everyone, but I don't think statistically a whole lot of younger people are buying comic books in the numbers that some people would like to, spin it as. And in fact, they had a thing at the Comics Pro where they said Gen X is basically your Wednesday Warriors. So that's it, man. That's it.
Surprised. None of it surprises me. I mean, anybody who pays attention, this is not surprising. So there it is.
There it is. We're going to wrap it up.
Yes.
Please subscribe. We'll talk later.
Bye.